We are less than 24 hours away from knowing what's about to happen in this coming week. And we have to talk about it in this video, especially when it comes to XRP and even XLM as well, and a few other altcoins. So with that being said, welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So obviously XRP and XLM are two of the largest gainers when we look at the crypto bubbles in the last month. We also have HBAR there, Dogecoin, and a few other ones. Definitely, we can mention, for an example, Algo, ADA, even Sandbox. There's been a very large amount of growth across the altcoin market. And in my opinion, I do believe that this is going to continue. Yeah, we'll see pullbacks. Yes, we'll see, corrections along the way. But this is not, how big alt season really is. We see it on a much larger scale. And I've always talked about that. I will address it in this video as well. But right now, as we really look at this space, things definitely have been very exciting for the most part. I don't think that I need to mention that to you guys. If we actually look at the overall list over here, Bitcoin having a little bit of a mild correction, definitely dragging a lot of the market down with it because dominance is starting to kind of pick up. We actually see XRP selling off about 9.73% after having a massive rally in the last couple days, and even a lot of the other projects as well on the list. I know XLM has been pretty green still on the last 24 hours. But if we actually look at the list here, yeah, I mean, XLM is still up about 33%, starting to have a little bit of a sell-off and a little bit of a correction as well. This is because dominance on Bitcoin is starting to rise up a little bit, which, like I said, I will definitely mention in this video. But this is probably going to be our first pretty big pullback before we have the next major move to the upside. Again, pullbacks are welcomed. It's healthy for price action, and it is very normal during the cycle. But if we actually look at Bitcoin, we can see, Bitcoin pulling back here, still trying to fight around, the 100K level. We have yet to actually break over that 100K level. Everyone has been anticipating it. They've been waiting for it, but we have yet to actually see that. Even in the last 7 days, you could actually see that. On the daily, you could also see that as well. Now, the big thing to focus on is bullish structure. We want to maintain a higher low. So I would prefer for us to not lose $96,000 on Bitcoin. If we do, then it could get pretty ugly very fast. So $96,000 is the big focus from my perspective, especially today, which I will talk about why. But also, if we look at the macro charts from Tech Dev, got to give a big shout out to him. He did give us a little bit of an insight on what he's actually thinking when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, yes, if we go all the way back to, July 6th, this is when he actually originally posted this chart. This is what it basically looked like. Now, he's expecting like over $300,000 for Bitcoin. I'm not expecting that. If anything, I'm expecting like at most 140, 160K on Bitcoin. But he is showing us that this is a very similar pattern here. He's going off of, some indicators as well, but you could clearly see that this is a very similar setup going all the way back to roughly like 2014, all the way through 2017 into 2018. Now, if that is the case, like I said, he is calling for a much higher price on Bitcoin. I'm still thinking like 140, 160K is a very fair assessment when it comes to a top for Bitcoin. But we first need to actually break over $100,000. We actually have yet to break over $100,000, and it's still been fighting against that for a bit of time. But I do think that once we do smash through that, it's a big psychological level. I think that once we smash through 100K, the next big moves are going to happen very, very fast and very, very violently. And during that time, we want to actually see Bitcoin dominance selling off, leading altcoins to, of course, the promised land. Now, talking more so about altcoins, I do want to bring up Ethereum. And the reason why I'm bringing this all up in an XRP video is because it is very important to focus on at this current moment in time. Ethereum is getting close to having a much larger expansion to the upside. What we want to see is it to break over its March highs, just like Bitcoin has already. And it did go on this absolute massive tear above the March highs, aka Bitcoin was stealing the show. Now, what we want to see is Ethereum do the same exact thing and ultimately outperform Bitcoin going forward. That way, all eyes are technically on Ethereum for phase 2. And then, of course, what happens after is alt season. But if we look at Ethereum, okay, and if we're talking about Bitcoin going to 100, 160, K, somewhere around like 140, 160, right? This is a very similar setup on this chart going all the way back to 2020 to 2021. I have this outlined here because this is after we had a nice move to the upside. We're selling off a little bit. We're retesting some nice lows. We're chopping sideways. But if we actually look back here, we also had another very similar setup where we actually had a nice move to the upside and then we sold off. And then by November, we had a nice wick to the upside. And then it followed by a little bit of a sell-off and then another big wick. If we actually look here, we have a big wick, a little bit of a sell-off, and now we're starting to see that next big wick to the upside starting to form. Now, I did just go off of a bars graph here, which is not ideal, in my opinion, to really kind of try to predict something. But if we were going to have an absolute moon boyish target for Ethereum, it would be about roughly $19,000, almost $600, and it would look something similar to this, where we do initially hit that going into May of 2025. Now, for me, I like to actually cut things in half because of diminished gains and diminished returns, which is a very big thing. I mean, ultimately, this would be about 295%. I think that 150% is fair for Ethereum. That would take it to about roughly $12,300 some dollars. Again, we have to break over the highs first before we even get ahead of ourselves. And from that point on, we actually need to see a lot of momentum and a lot of moves to happen for Ethereum to actually lead the path to almost 10K plus and ultimately break over $10,000 plus as well, because there's going to be a lot of sell pressure there. But again, we're talking about Bitcoin going on an absolute tear. Like I mentioned, I can see Ethereum really doing some very big moves, very similar to what we have on the chart here. But the reason why I bring this up is because of what it would do for altcoins. Now, as we look at XRP today, XRP, like I said, is selling off. This is a correction. It is normal. And in fact, it's something that I outlined in the live stream as well. I put together this chart. Now, I would like for us to actually maintain these lows back here. I don't want to see us lose $1.36. If we do, though, is it going to be bad? Well, it all depends on what you think is bad or not. Personally speaking, if we go back to the daily chart, just really kind of want to quickly show you guys something. So the big thing about the daily chart is that there's a massive amount of room here to the next level of, overall support. And that overall support is down here roughly, around $1.05, $1.12. So we could have a much deeper correction here that does get pretty violent, right? And it will shake up a lot of people. But that is where, most of the support and most of the demand actually is. And even if we look on the 12-hour, you can clearly see that there's not a lot of demand down there at all. There's also a little bit of a fair value gap. I mean, realistically speaking, if we are looking at just fair value gaps to be retested, this $1.26 to $1.36 level is also a fair assessment. But I'm hoping to see if, we can repeat the same pattern on the 4-hour, very similar back here to like roughly the beginning of this impulsive move, where we did kind of chop sideways almost in a bull flag formation, and then we finally had that impulsive move to the upside. Again, I'm going to be watching this. By the time that this does go live, I'm sure that we probably already have our decision made for us. Again, focus on the fair value gap if this level is lost and this trend line is lost and invalidate it. But outside of the XRP USD chart, what are we 24 hours away from? Well, we're 24 hours away from the 1 week candle close. Now, at the time that I'm recording this, I am roughly, 12 hours away from a weekly candle close. But the reason why I want to bring this up is because look at the level at which we did have a nice wick to, right? This wick was to major resistance going all the way back to 2021 at about $1.62.5. And the thing that I really want everyone to really focus on here is, whether or not we're going to close above $1.30, $1.40 or so, this could very well be the largest candle body close on the weekly since going all the way back. We're talking about all the way back here to May of 2021. Guys, this is insane to me. This market has erupted in such a large way, and it's kind of crazy that a lot of people are not paying attention to a lot of these utility projects, or at least now they are starting to, because before they weren't. Even if we look at XRP, look at the search trends on Google. This is showing us that, retail is trying to find out what XRP is. They're trying to, find information on XRP, and this is where you start to see interest going crazy. I mean, if we go all the way back to the bull run of 2021, guys, XRP in terms of interest from the retail sector has now completely blasted through those levels. This is showing us that interest around XRP has been going completely insane. And that's why we are seeing such big moves here, because I'm sure that a lot of people are also FOMOing in. But I want to see us continue to break higher and actually go over those 2021 highs. The problem right now is that Bitcoin dominance is still flirting with 60%. And even on this chart, on the weekly, I'm going to be watching this for the weekly candle close, because if we do get a close below this trend line, okay, which should be like below 59% roughly, then that would confirm that we have lost this trend line and that Bitcoin dominance is going to continue to sell off. It did flirt with the potential loss of the trend line today, but we have yet to actually get a daily or weekly close below it. So we want to watch this closely going over the next couple of days, but more so tonight around 8:30 p.m. or so, we are going to be focused on this chart. I'm going to be updating the Discord most likely with the full weekly breakdown, because this is one of the most important charts that you could be watching right now outside of the USD pairs for a lot of these projects like XRP. But, like I said, with everything aligning perfectly, it feels as though we are getting closer to that alt season phase. And with XRP being as high as it is, and even XLM, I mean, listen, XLM needs to be addressed because XLM is doing absolutely insane numbers right now. But this is all because of, at the end of the day, nobody was paying attention to these projects when they started to actually finally break out. I warned everyone about, these projects ahead of time, and I said that this market does surprise a lot of people when it does start to move. And when it does move, it moves fast. And these projects like XLM, XRP, Algo, HBAR, etc., they're all moving in a very, very fast way. Again, we're going to watch this correction closely. I'm happy to finally get it out of the way. We know that this was we knew that this was going to be a thing. It happens every single cycle. There's going to be pullbacks along the way. It's healthy price action. Even XRP, like I said, is going to have, a correction here. The overall level of interest, like I said, we go back to the 12-hour on this chart, and we're really kind of looking at this these levels of interest. The first fair value gap is right around this level here of roughly $1.26 to $1.36. So definitely focus on that level initially. That's going to be the area of interest from my perspective, but we could always see lower. So just be aware of that. Make sure that you're cautious with it. Definitely stay tuned for other updates on this, because I'm going to update this chart in probably my next video on XRP, really kind of give you guys my thought process on it and where we're at now. But for the most part, this weekly candle close is very important because we are at significant highs on XRP and on a lot of these altcoins, but I'm more so focused on Bitcoin dominance, as it has been flirting with this trend line for a bit of time. And I'm waiting to see if this is actually going to close below it or not. And I think everyone should also be focused on this chart. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.